Hey, what's up, everybody? Time for another game sort of theory video. If you like the videos, like, sub, silly, comment, share, support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. And if there's some execution errors in this video, give me a break because, again, I got this controller and only to find out that it was not new, as the guy said. But what are you going to do? Today I'm going to talk about, sometimes people ask, how were you able to find so many bugs in different games? So let's talk about Guilty Gear. And this is will be a little bit generalized, but how was I able to find so many different bugs that are just now common knowledge and just tactics and different tech in Guilty Gear, right? So first, one thing we can get out of the way really quickly. How did I used to make combo videos in Guilty Gear? Well, of course, for newer games like, say, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Dragon Ball Fighter Z was very easy to theorize what was going to work, just because not only had I have so many years of experience playing different games and different types of games, so you could take all those different kinds of games and put one piece of the puzzle into this now piece of the puzzle, so to speak, right? You know what I mean? This bit of knowledge here, and then apply it to this new game. But Dragon Ball Fighter Z also had that little, like, tech thing, right? You know what I mean? So in this game, old Guilty Gear and even Plus R, is, I think it was like, actually, I think it's Accent Core when they added it goes black or something when the guy could tech. But games like this didn't have that sort of like orange meter, so you could see when the guy was going to tech. So, for a game like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, you could theorize, I just got to make this work within this amount of time, right? So besides that as well, Guilty Gear has the weight system. So one thing I've said before, what I used to do when I would theorize what combo would work is you would do something like, and then you see the guys, he's getting much heavier. So what I would do is I would theorize what combo would I want to do piece by piece. And then I would theorize, well, the guy's probably going to be this heavy at this point. So you might even be like, oh, maybe you do something like, so even though I know that wasn't a real combo, I would get the guy to that sort of what I would assume is how heavy the guy is going to be in the combo. And then I would apply that sort of, guesstimation when I would do the combo. Because of course, you know, you don't instantly do a combo rate when you think of it. So that is a way that I used to sort of cheat to give myself an idea of, okay, so I want to do this much of the combo, then I'm going to be this much here. And so instead of practicing the whole combo from start to finish, I would practice what I might think might be the end of the combo so I could anticipate how heavy the guy is going to be at the end of the combo. So I would like practice it in parts and then I would put it all into one. And, that's something that I've said before when I say that phrase of, talent can hit the target that no one else can hit, but genius hits the target that no one else could see, right? Just like art, a lot of people can probably teach themselves how to color or something like that, but I think true genius and creativity comes when you are able to, actually develop the combo yourself, see something there that no one else could hit. Because obviously now, you know what I mean? I've done so much in this game, so much that we've showed that, geez, we've showed posts from Dust Loop, early days of Guilty Gear, even, and even before that, people were saying all the stuff I was doing was fake. And now so much of this stuff is common knowledge and, regular, so to speak, right? So, that's why I'm not impressed when people are like, oh, we can do Clayton combos now. Like, not only do you macro and you button bind, which I don't, you know what I mean? You have the roadmap is already set out for you. You never had to even come up with anything, right? So that is a way. Oh my, well, there you go. What the fuck? This goddamn, the controller got fucking. It is very hard to find a legitimately new controller. Let me tell you. Again, if you ever want to donate to the channel, that was crazy. I pressed back once and he started holding back. What the fuck was that? Jesus. Anyway. Fucking shaking my head. So ridiculous. I think I paid $70 for this thing. Anyway. Besides that though, so let's talk about more glitches and bugs. How did I find that? So of course, you know, And this is something that you can't teach. You know what I mean? You got to think, I grew up during the days of arcades and all this kind of stuff. And unless you were playing or unless you were winning, you weren't playing, right? So you had to play in your head more. You had to watch people in matches and notice little things, right? You know what I mean? So, and because I didn't have a lot of games myself as a kid, you know what I mean? And I only really went to the arcade if, maybe my grandma took me, right? I had to get good at noticing things without being able to play, right? You know what I mean? So that's something I can't teach you. But little things like that. And I always say that something that people don't realize is a lot of people don't even have, they won't even try. Like, again, look at a game like Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I wrote out everything how that game was going to work, right? People wouldn't even try it, which was ridiculous. And so you have to try, like, give it a good go, right? So in the early days of Guilty Gear, besides FDC, you know what I mean, like combo, and then you'd FDC, that there's like a little bug or game oversight, let's say. Some of the only things that were really known, and this is an example I'm going to give, is something like, jump install, you know what I mean? Impossible dust, something like that. Those were like the very kind of, the most basic things like that. But let's look at something like jump install. Besides jump install, something that was known in this game before, again, I came along, was if a guy blocks an attack in the air and they recover in time, it resets and allows them to jump, right? So imagine I block an attack. I've already double jumped and I blocked, and then you can jump again, right? And so it resets your movement. And so there is these two sort of like ideas in my head that there must be something there, let's so to speak, that this game can reset your movements and it can also keep your properties, so to speak, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's keeping the idea that I jumped or something, or however you want to think about it, and it's storing that property to the next thing, right? So then I started thinking about that, and I started thinking about weird examples, like if you think a character, especially in a game like Guilty Gear X, if Potemkin does dust, he has this, I recorded him to do other stuff, but you see Potemkin has this animation where he hits the ground like that, right? But I noticed something while playing, right? So if I were to do, let's see this. Do you see he fell down like that? Let's watch this again. Sorry. Again, I haven't recorded to do it, so I'm not like, I don't have two hands. Sorry. This is the production value on the FGC on NBC. You see, so he should be blocking. There should not be recovery, but he's in the like, oh, let me suck your dick pose. And so I took those sort of concepts together, and I was like, this game, you must be able to store the properties of things, and certain moves and states must have more, like, they must continuously, whatever, in my brain. I'm not sure English. My English is bad, right? You must be able to store the properties. Some moves must have a better, higher priority list of one over the other, that this must be fulfilled, so to speak. And I started thinking about, weird shit like that. And I'm like, okay, you must be able to push this really far, right? And so I was like, okay, let's look at just jump installing, right? You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, so if I do something like, sorry, what am I doing? I'm like, okay, and that people like that wasn't known. I'm like, oh, so you can just tiger knee like that, right? I'm like, that keeps the property. And then I was thinking about dust stuff, and I'm like, normally if Kai does this, there's recovery. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I must be able to find a way to like cancel this dust recovery, right? You know what I mean? And I'm like, so the dust recovery is staying even after the slash? And I'm like, well, there must be a way to override this property of this like recovery, right? And so fiddling around with it, I'm like, oh, well, jump install keeps you here. So if I do a jump move, a move that is jump cancel right there, I can cancel that recovery because it has a higher priority on the list, or so to speak, that it must take priority over this other thing. That's how I found like dust canceling and everything like that. You know what I mean? I started like, taking the little pieces of the puzzle that I knew, and I started like pushing it, like how far can this thing go, right? Like if I were to do, and again, I'm trying to record this all myself, so let's say if Potemkin does, again, let's say he does. Okay, I don't know if this is going to be good, but let's see. Attack Potemkin. Oh my goodness, come on, motherfucker. You motherfucker. Well, you know, we can still do this. How about this? I'll show this. You know, this doesn't work. Oh my god, can I get off the ground to save my fucking life? Oh wait, so I should probably set him to. Oh god, see, I'm trying to show like example, and this is something where like this is the problem, like when you're doing these things all yourself, right? So I'll set him to. Oh god, what would I do? No, I'm trying to think of what buttons I'm pressing by myself. Okay, so if we set him to tech now. Ah, Jesus Christ. Where's tech? This shows you how often I play the game recovery neutral. Okay, so do you see how he still recovered like that? You know what I mean? Even though he's been comboed, even though he fell on the ground, you know what I mean? That property still had to be like fulfilled, right? And so an interesting thing about that is then I started like, wow, how far can you push this thing? And I found out about like unblockables. Like you can be comboing the dude for so long, you know what I mean? And it's something you can actually like notice in real matches. Like if the guy has ever done dust, if you don't let them fulfill that full recovery, you can keep resetting them and they can't block for like the rest of the match until they do something that has a higher priority than the dust recovery. You know what I mean? So I could be like, boom, just say he keeps blocking like that, boom, over and over. I could be doing a huge combo. Maybe he like FDs into the big combo. I run up, I stutter step, I throw the guy, boom, I duck little kick him. He recovers. He still would not be able to block when he lands if he has not fulfilled that dust recovery, right? You know what I mean? And that's why I was able to like find stuff like that, like just trying different things, like pushing at how far I'm going. You know what I mean? Even this dust recovery, again, I'm going like, wait, okay, so this has recovery. But if I jump has more property than that. So I'm like, okay, so if I do a jump cancelable move right when I land, you know what I mean? Will I be able to cancel? I was like, oh, I can cancel the recovery. And then I saw stuff like, oh, when you're right on the ground, you know what I mean? You're kind of considered in this quasi state of not quite off the ground, not quite on the ground. You know what I mean? That's why you can alpha counter in the air even before you hit the ground sometimes. That's why you can do all these crazy jump installs. You know what I mean? I found, you know, I just basically, I took pieces of the puzzle that were, you know what I mean, the very basic things, like I said, of Guilty Gear that were only known basically at the time. That you had super jump install, it was as simple as that. And you had the, like, you could recover after that. And then FDC was in the original X and like, you know, fucking like impossible dust. But pretty much everything else in the game, even FD jump, you know, even FD jump, that was something that I showed, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, why is there no like dust? You know what I mean? When he's doing that, I was like, do you actually get off the ground faster? Then I'm like, oh, you can get out of certain setups like this, right? So, you know, it's noticing the little things and it's noticing and it's like actually trying, you know what I mean? Like so many people are like, oh, this will never happen. Oh, this will never happen. I'm again, look at Dragon Ball FighterZ. Oh man, yeah, no double supers, those are impossible. Sparking loops, those are impossible. You know, it's like, oh my god, dude. You know what I mean? Like fucking cell loops, no, those aren't real. Homing dash rejumps, no, those aren't real. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? All this stuff, you know what I mean? Oh god, no one could ever do all this. Oh, this is fake. Blah 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 blah. You know, it's noticing the little things, and when you like notice the little things, it's actually giving them a good try. You know what I mean? Exploring the actual properties of the game. But like I said, so many people, they won't even try. You know what I mean? Like it is crazy to me to think that, you know, this game was so basic, you know, in terms of knowledge, you know what I mean? Before I started finding all these things, even stuff like, you know, like sticking the guy to the wall. You know what I mean? I was like, oh man, we can stick the guy to the wall. I started fiddling with stuff with that. Found all those crazy setups like that, teching off of the ground during ground combos. You know what I mean? just, actually trying shit, People didn't want to try. It's almost like people are like, oh, someone did this. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that must be all there is you can do. It's like, well, wait. How do you know that's all there is you can do if you don't actually try? You know? So I guess that was kind of the point of this video is that, I guess the thing that I can't teach is, I can't teach you how to find things. I don't know if I could teach you, you know, how to look at a game differently. You gotta, I think you have to look at things intelligently. You know what I mean? Within reason. You know what I mean? You can't be like, oh, hey, Kai, what if we do Kai's laser beam move? It's like, well, Kai doesn't have a laser beam move. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you got to use realistic expectations. But, you know, again, just a lifetime of not really having video games to play by myself, finding the little things. Of course, once I actually, got a system, a game like Guilty Gear, like I said, fuck it's almost kind of it's actually kind of weird if you think about it. Like I won all those Guilty Gear tournaments, and man, I didn't really have competition. You know what I mean? Because most people wouldn't even play me, and I couldn't even drive until after Reload came out. Like again, people forget how young I was when I was winning all those tournaments, right? Like I couldn't even drive until after Reload came out. So it's not like I could actually go and play people. Only time I could play people in a game like Guilty Gear is if someone came to my house, which is very random, and most people won't even play me because I just beat them so bad in the game. But and then, like I said, even more crazy if you think about it. Like, God, I didn't even. And then once Reload came out, man, I didn't even really practice the game. You know what I mean? It was just so full blown with all the health stuff. I just got into RPGs. Like I said, Guilty Gear was just kind of I could win, so it wasn't like I was practicing. But it's like, oh, I can still win, so I may as well play, But I guess you could say, for sure. I guess you could say the perspective, at least in XX, if I was playing that by myself, playing by yourself, in training mode, there's more time, so to speak, to try to find weird shit, I guess. And go over like, hey, I saw this weird thing in this match. Let me just sit down in training mode and try to figure out what happened, right? You know what I mean? And like I said, when I would do combo videos, I showed you guys, I'd be like, the guy's gonna be this heavy during the combo, so I'm gonna keep doing that, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? I think that's how it's gonna work. Then test the whole thing, So I guess that's really it. I guess you'd have to like ask specifically if there's like a bug that I found in a game. Like, how did you find that? How did you think of that? You know what I mean? Of course, oh, even stuff like, how to make your guy unthrowable for stuff, just testing weird shit. I'm like, oh, will the property carry over to this? Special moves over right here so I can make all my moves throw invincible. God, I mean, there's so many bugs in this game that, of course, even say the Bridget Punch bug, you know what I mean? You think about that, that was carrying over stuff, and that's how I did some of those instant combos, you know what I mean? I mean, God, there's so many bugs I found in this game. It's fucking insane to think about it, right? I can't even remember all of them. There's still certain bugs that I've never been able to, figure out how I did. I know I've seen Potemkin throw the guy, and they did like a Street Fighter Two. I guess I would compare it to a Street Fighter Two bug where the game kind of just like started glitching out and the guy started like falling through the screen. I've seen that before. I have no idea how that happens. I saw the game start graphically glitching out where all the characters had like shadows on them and everything like that. That was really weird. Um, I've seen. I'm sure. I'm sure someone could try to like fiddle with this, especially with people that like hack games and everything like this. I have seen a time over match where I had an EX dust on the screen, and I had lost the match, and then the guy got hit by my EX dust, and then it like gave me the victory. I'm sure if someone, you can hack games now. I'm sure that sounds like a bug that someone could probably recreate. You know what I mean? It just would be so fucking annoying to like wait for a time over trying to replicate that, however that fucking happened. But that was a funny one. Um, Oh, and speaking of properties, you think about in old games, I don't think it does it in this one. I think it was up until Accent Core. You think about how did I do that one Potemkin combo? That was a bug because specifically Chip, when he threw you, what I saw the properties was it was a property that like spread out throughout the game. It had a higher priority than everything else while I was playing. And so I saw if Chip has actually thrown you, then the next match that you play, characters can do more stun actually. So that was a slash thing. That's how I did some of those combos. You know, God, the alpha counter bug. You know what I mean? That was a bug that could change the way that characters got up. So that was how I did some stuff in Reload. Again, a lot of the stuff is like I said, it was from just a simple idea that, people knew that jump installs were in the game. People knew that you could reset your properties. And it was like, okay, so I was just like, well, what is the prerequisite or what is, the qualification for why does this reset to get your property here? Why does this property have more priority here? And it was just fiddling with it. And I saw like dust, and I'm like, And like obviously I can see that dust has a property that it is staying on things. Like, why is this happening? There must be a way to override this. Oh, jump cancel. We can see that. We can see that has more priority. Could that change dust? Oh, it does. But wait, could we go back? Look at Potemkin. We can see his animation literally changes, right? We can see that, oh, well, if I can make something unblockable, could I replicate this unblockable over and over again? Could I change the stun of my attacks? Like there's that one bug, I think it's in a video that I showed, right? Where you can make it so your character, you know what I mean? They keep getting hit by moves differently, even though it's a different move, because this property is overriding everything while keeping this property of the move. Again, you know what I mean? It's just like taking that little seed of knowledge and seeing how much you can grow it, I guess, right? Anyway, I don't know if that's interesting to people, but yeah. Remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly, comment, share, support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. The end.